Hello, hello.
Happy Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
What was that?
So I'm going to call it Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm hungry, starving.
Lunchtime.
So if you are tuning in, it is just Lindsay and myself today, Kayla McDonald with Remax Alliance Group and Lindsay Weber with Keystone Mortgage Solutions. We're your key team. And remember, we are live, so if there's something that pops up that you're like, hey, I want to know a little bit more about this, you can comment and we'll be able to see it and answer your question. Or if you just want to say hello, make sure you say hello. Make sure you guys head on over to our YouTube page, subscribe, so that way you can be notified whenever we do have our shows, and you can see all of our wonderful guests, and all of our past shows are up there as well. If you ever want to, get up to date. Not that you have to see one for the other. We're not a reality show or anything like that. Maybe sometimes, I don't know.
About as reality as they get, right?
Yeah, pretty much. There are no scripts here. So today we are going to be touching on the Hometown Heroes program, which Lindsay's going to be touching a lot more on that because, she knows a lot more than I do. And it's a really great program. They just got approved, I don't know when, earlier this year, right? For more funding for it.
Yep. So they'll get an additional $100 million, and they'll release it July 1st. So we have a little bit of time, but there's no harm in preparing and getting ready for them to release it, because I don't want to say that it goes fast. I mean, 100 million is a lot to go through, but it does go fast. And if it's something that somebody needs or wants, or wants more information on, now's the time to be able to get all your ducks in a row, because once July 1st hits, we of course want to lock in and reserve that money. There's a lot of which I'll go into, but basically the types of homes, what kind of credit score, what kind of income, how long do we have to lock it. There's a lot of guidelines as far as compensation and how it's paid, interest rates. There's one interest rate. So there are a lot of things that go with this program, but it's really great. It's only for Florida. I mean, I can kind of start to go into it unless you have any specific questions or any place that you'd like me to start.
So I would say for somebody who has no idea what the heck this program is, let's kind of start from the beginning and be like, okay, what is this program? And I think we're still waiting on some more details on its release.
So I can give a high overview. Yep. I'll give a high overview of how it's been in the past. That does not mean that that's how it's going to be now. Right. But at least we'll have a general idea. And most of the stuff has been pretty consistent. But I'm not going to be able to say, okay, today, this is what the interest rate's going to be when they release it, or if they change the income brackets, I can tell you an idea of what that would look like. Right. Last year, what type of housing that they allowed, things like that. So a lot of my information is going to be based on the past that is subject to change. But it's been pretty consistent. So I'm confident that it'll be somewhere in the realm of what it's been before.
I highly doubt they're going to make like severe changes. And
there was a problem.
Yeah, and if they do make changes, I think it's only going to be in the benefit of the buyer, just based on what they have done every time they get more funding. It seems like they make a change that helps buyers.
Right.
So let's start off with that. Like, okay, what's the program? Who qualifies for it? How does it work? And all of that fun stuff.
So the program itself is down payment assistance. It is 5% of your loan amount. So not even your purchase price, but 5% of your loan amount. So that's kind of a hard calculation to get up to $35,000. So it can't exceed $35,000 no matter what your loan amount is. So that can be used for your down payment, and it can be used for your closing cost. It can be used on any type of program, whether it's FHA, VA, that has a couple ins and outs of its own, it's conventional. It even can be combined with other types of down payment assistance programs. It is typically for borrowers that had a 640 credit score. Whereas me like, oh, I don't qualify. We can always get you in a position where we're able to get your credit score to that. If I know now. So if that's something that's like hanging over your head and you'd like to be able to utilize the program, and after I'm done telling you all the rules, and the only part that you're struggling with is that credit score, number one, there's other types of programs out there. And number two, we can always make a plan of getting you in position to have that credit score to take advantage of the program itself. So it's for 1 to 4 unit properties. So that means that you can go and you have to occupy one of those 4 units. Typically, we like to see it for a single family, but yes, you can go and you can purchase like a duplex or something like that, live in one, and essentially rent out the other side for some income of your own. So 1 to 4 unit properties. It does allow for manufactured home, but only double wides. You can't do a single wide. The property has to be at least 5 years old, so you can't use these on any kind of new construction. It has to be a home that's already built after, can't be brand new. It has to be 5 years old or more. There's 0 payment. It's deferred for the whole entire term of your loan. However, it is repayable. You're like, what does that mean? Well, it just simply means that if you refinance or if you sell, you're going to have to pay that off. So if you qualify for the whole $35,000, then you're going to have a $35,000, we'll call it lien, that would need to be paid, whether you're refinancing or whether you're selling your home. So income-wise, income is hard. There is a qualification. I'll give you a broad range of what it has been, but income caps and the average median income for certain areas is different in each area, and it's changed every single year. So the range that you would look at, if you make more than $162,750, then you wouldn't qualify. Some of the other areas are all the way down to $128,250. So that is a cap range. So in some areas, it'll say, okay, you can't make more than $128,000. In other areas, it's going to say, oh, you can make more than $162,000 based on where the property is that you're purchasing. So there's a little website that we can go to and we can pop it in based on the area or the county that you're looking at. And it'll tell us whether you would qualify for this particular program based on how much you make. And as long as you're not exceeding what that average income is for the area. It is offered to all, for the most part. I haven't come across one that doesn't qualify. Florida, all Florida-based company employees. So if you work in Florida, but your corporate office is in New York, that does not qualify. If the company is here in Florida and you work here in Florida and you're going to reside in Florida, even if you live in New York and you work for a company in New York, then you would qualify, but you would have to work to live into the property. Sorry, my family is calling me because they don't remember that it's Tuesday and then I'm doing this.
Oh gosh, that's Mike every time.
The emergency phone call list because my phone's on silent and it's my husband and my daughter, and of course they're calling and it's coming through. So I apologize. Jesse, could you text him and tell him to stop calling me?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. So anyway, Florida-based company, you have to work a W-2 job. and work 35 hours or more. So basically, a full-time Florida employee are the ones that would qualify as long as you're within that income qualification for the area that you're buying. So like I said, there's lots of ins and outs. I'm just giving you the information. That's my job to figure out whether you qualify for it. And if you don't, what other options are out there? But it really truly is a great program, especially, and you don't have to be so let's touch on first time home buyer. You can be a first time home buyer as long as you have not owned a home in the past 3 years. You're technically considered a first time home buyer if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years.
Correct. Or if you're moving from another state and you're moving to Florida.
No.
Nope,
because you would have owned a home, so you have to be a first time home buyer.
Okay.
Yep.
Has that changed? Because I want to say somebody has said that for Florida, like if you're a first time home buyer here in Florida, then that qualifies.
Nope.
Or maybe somebody gave me misinformation or something.
Yep.
Lied to me.
When they run reports in the background when they're underwriting it, they're going to see any homes that you've owned. Mm-hmm.
So then I lied. Then I didn't know. So now I know.
Now you do.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's a great program, and it's very, very beneficial for people. And I know that going to the refinance situation, having to repay it back, I feel like that can be kind of scary for some people.
It is, but it isn't, because they have specific interest rates for this program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's across the board. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, this is the interest rate for this particular program. Mm-hmm. There's no pricing. There's no anything. The broker gets paid what they get paid. And the interest rate is what the interest rate is. Yeah. So it's not like, okay, well, I have a 660 score and now my pricing's better because of da-da-da-da. It doesn't work like that. It's straight right across the board for this particular program.
Right.
And it's usually a better interest rate than we're pricing out.
Yeah, that's usually what it has been in the past. Now, let's just say somebody wanted to refinance because interest rates happen to fall to a more desirable number that's going to save them money on their monthly payment. I don't know, let's just say like a year down the road. What does that look like for them?
So one of two things. What I don't know, and this is something that I'll have to kind of do my due diligence on and find out. I'm thinking the answer is no, but I'll of course find out, is to request that this particular lien be subordinated, which means that they're still holding that position.
Right.
I don't think that they allow for subordinations in this particular program. I'm 99% sure that they don't. However, I'll look into it. The other part of it is that it is a lien on your title that would have to be paid off, whatever that dollar amount is that you qualified for. If your loan amount was $100,000, then you have a $5,000 lien. You have to pay your $5,000 back, up to the max of $35,000 based on your loan amount.
Right. But if they have that equity already in their house, then how does that work? They don't actually have to physically come out of pocket.
No. It's just, so say that, just for round numbers, say that you have a $100,000 house and you're selling it for $100,000, you owe $50,000 plus you owe another $2,000 for your down payment assistance. So your payoff would be $52,000, and you would have the equity in your home when you sell it to pay that off. It's not like you're physically bringing a check to the closing table for whatever that dollar amount is that you qualified for when you purchased it.
And it would kind of work the same with like a refinance. It would be like, okay, well,
it's the same exact process because we still have that payoff. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that makes it way less scary for people that like, oh man,
your home is consistently gaining equity. I mean, that's essentially the idea, is that at some point in time when you're going to refinance or you're going to sell this property, that you're going to have enough equity in there, because equity is not equity until you actually take it, until it's physical in your hands, and you're utilizing the the market value to basically pay off the lien.
Right. And essentially, what we've seen historically is when those rates start to fall, values start to go up. So, that I feel like that's something that, somebody who utilizes this program, they talk to you and say,
Right.
hey, is it a good idea for me to refinance right now? Like, is this going to make a big difference on my monthly payment? Does it make sense for me? Do I have enough equity? All these things. So I feel like, if you're in the have done the program already, and when rates do fall, or if you're going to be utilizing this program here in the future, then that's always going to be a conversation that's going to be had, and it's not going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
crap, now I'm stuck and I'm refinancing and I'm putting me in a worse position.
No. And most refinances, I mean, there's rules. Like we can't just say,
Mhm.
oh, okay, we're going to do a refinance, and it has to,
Makes
yes, there's
sense.
people that take advantage, but it has to make sense. Like, okay, what are we doing? Are we paying off debt? Are you saving money on a monthly basis? Are you refinancing to a lower interest rate? Are we taking the term down? That's big, especially in the market that we're getting ready to go into, is that all of these people are now used to paying this higher interest rate, which essentially is a higher monthly payment. And when these rates start to come down, as they have, they're trickling down, but not astronomically yet. But anyway, the point is that now they've been in this mortgage, say for 2 years. We don't want to refinance them and put them back on this 30-year term. They've
Mhm.
paid 2 years into this. So now they're used to paying this $2,500 a month payment. So what happens when I refinance and I take you to a shorter term, and I literally can give you I don't know, whatever, pick a number, 22-year mortgage, and that's what the $2,500 monthly payment is. So now I just took you from a 28-year mortgage left to a 22-year mortgage, paying the same exact dollar amount that you're currently paying, and to get it
Mhm.
paid off that much quicker.
Right.
Or we keep it at the higher amount, and any amount that you put directly towards that principal comes off the end of the loan. So there's multiple ways to kind of look at it and make sure that we're recouping cost, and that the refinance makes sense, and
Yeah.
that we're solving the problem, or doing the goal of whatever you as the consumer would want us to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's just so much that goes into it and so many things that you can do.
Yeah.
It's going to be beneficial. No matter what the market is. But people, as consumers don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I learn new things every day,
Yeah.
and
Me too. I mean, I've been doing this for, I feel like, a gazillion years. And number one, things change. Number two, different programs come out. Number three, people's scenarios change, the way that they get paid. I mean,
yeah,
I hate to bring it up again, but look how much COVID has changed. Just employees being able to work from home. So we have employees that or borrowers that are buying these homes. And it used to be back in the day that we had to prove that they could move dot 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 distance away from their job. Well, if they're working from home, it doesn't come up as often. So
yeah,
things change as time changes.
yeah. You kind of have to morph,
Yeah.
with it, and I think that's how, like, it's the same in on my end too. Like, we have to kind of morph into, or go, I guess, kind of go with the flow. Like, negotiations are different, depending on where the market's at, what type of loan programs are out there, for our buyers and for our sellers. And just knowing what those current market trends are is so important. um, and it could save people so much money, and so much hassle.
Yeah.
So I mean, I made a post yesterday about being like a full-time agent and like a full service agent, because
You were vacuuming.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even tell my client that I was doing that or going there. But it just, I think, and it's not just my industry, or our industry, it is across the board, where you see people just trying to undercut others and to get business, and there's different levels of quality there.
Yeah, there is, and you have to be careful. There was a post yesterday, and they were talking about one of the agents, what they wanted to advertise, that they do it for 1% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's kind of a triggering post because you absolutely 1000% get what you pay for. And if you run into trouble and you're paying somebody 1%, how hard are they going to work for you to be able to get to the end of the transaction? They're going on to the next easiest,
Mm-hmm.
least path of resistance client. And I hate to say it, but I mean, that's the truth. Like,
Yeah.
if this is their bread and butter and they're not making their 1% off of you to sell their house at the bare minimum, then that particular person is going on to the next one because they have to survive as well.
Yeah, and you have to think about it like this. Like, what if you are, let's just take like hospitality, for instance. We all know that servers and bartenders, they don't make like a minimum wage, or they make whatever the minimum wage for their position is, plus tips. Could
Right.
you imagine if they were getting paid that, what is it, like $5 an hour or something now? $6, or I don't know.
And that's
When I
it.
first started waitressing, it was like $2.30.
I was
Now,
just going to say mine was like ridiculous, like in the $2 range, if not even less.
but could you imagine the type of service that you would get if you went and sat down at a restaurant, if you weren't required to tip them and they're just going to take the $5 an hour? Would you ever get a drink refill? Would they be worried about making sure that your food came out right? Would they be nice to you? Are they going to go that extra mile and pay attention to you to make sure that you don't need any extra sauces, or if maybe you made a weird face when you tried your food? We've all been to places where there are just, good and bad service, not because of the pay, but just because. And,
Right.
that's another issue. But could you imagine if that was the case? I think that's how it is in Europe.
It is. And funny story. And you don't know if you're American, like that's our way of doing
Yeah.
things. And we go and we tip, and they don't do that. So everything's kind of a little bit backwards there for me, at least.
Yeah.
They, instead of you getting up like at a cafe style place to go and pay your bill at the front or whatever, they bring it to you. They're not allowed to touch like your card or anything like that. And tipping is pretty unheard of in Europe. Like, you go to a
Yeah.
restaurant, like you don't even know what to do as an American. I'm like, what do I do? And they're like,
Yeah.
what? Do I tip you? Do I not tip you? How much do I tip you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very different.
But I mean, that's how I like attribute it, things to, is like, that's what you're paying for, especially like when you're talking about on the listing side.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness, how do you even market a property
It's expensive to do what you guys do, to list properties.
Yeah, I mean,
It just is out of your own pocket.
Yeah, if you're if you're a full service agent, you're doing it the right way.
Point.
We're in a different market right now. Maybe in 2020 up until like the end of or mid 2022, you could kind of willy-nilly things, and you didn't really, professional photography. I mean, I think it's always important no matter what market we're in, and I never stop doing that.
Right.
But because, we have our clients and they're paying a lot of money to us, we need to do no matter what, because who knows, their house might sell in a day, it might sell in a week, it might sell in a month, 2 months. It depends on the market that they're in, and each neighborhood is different and each house is different. And if you have really, really great photography and video where that brings people into the house because they can actually see what it looks like,
especially when they're from another state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah. Yep. It's
I can go groceries together.
Yeah, we have to do paid ads.
Same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of extra work just to make sure we are showing their house to the masses and reaching the people that are out of state, that are looking at specific areas.
Yeah.
Are we explaining what this neighborhood is like? What's close by? All of it. And it's a lot more than just putting a picture of a house and throwing it on the internet from your cell phone.
And it's more than like, hey, guess what? I'm doing an open house. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that
Mhm.
I don't think people realize that happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, I unfortunately they're going to find out if they,
Yeah.
take the less expensive route.
It's going to cost them
It
just as much, if not more.
could, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same thing with these like these contractors. You get people that are like, "Oh, I'm going to do your bathroom remodel for 15 grand," and then you have the guy that says they're going to do it for 6. Hmm.
You get what you pay for.
And then you end up calling somebody, the hire guy, to say, "Hey, I need you to come and fix this because my shower's not draining." Or whatever it is, like there's something that has to be redone. There's levels of things, and I don't think necessarily you need to go out and pay top dollar for everything all the time, but I think that it's
You
something
have to
that,
do your due diligence and know what you're doing. Your home is the largest investment that you're making. You want it to be done right. This is where your family is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you think about it too, like if you have an agent who you're paying them, whatever their fee is, because there's, of course, we know there's no set fees, but
Well, they're all negotiable, and that's the part that people are missing out. They're like, "Oh, it's 6%." It's
no.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever, like you have one, you have 3 different people that have 3 different prices, whether it's a percent based or just a flat fee. Because you can do that too, whatever that is. You have one that's the bottom of the barrel. Like, you've got to ask them, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to sell my house? And just think about, how much money they're going to put into it. Are they going to be available on nights and weekends? What if somebody calls them directly from their sign, if they have a sign in the front yard? Because that happens too. Are they going to be available to come and show the house, or figure it out, or can they explain a contract? Are they going to be able to negotiate terms for me? Because it doesn't always come down to the price. Depending on the situation, some people might be flexible on, what price point that they want to accept. But some people are like, I really need to be out by this time. And if it's a speedy one, then we know we probably need to price it on the lower end. Or maybe they are, it could be an array of different things, but, there's more than just the price, and there's more than just a closing date that goes into things. And, it's a lot. And you want to make sure you have somebody that's working around the clock, essentially. I mean, we're not up at 1:00 in the morning or anything, but like, you want someone that's going to be available for you, and, doing everything they can to sell your house.
Yeah. Well, I know a good realtor.
I know a good mortgage broker.
They're your key team. We really do. We work well together.
Yeah.
We have our communication down, and I have many programs. I can easily pick up the phone and work out any scenario with you for the benefit of the borrower any time of day. And that's what means the most, is like, having that relationship and being able to work well together, and to have the interest of the buyer at the forefront, because that's what it's all about. And it can, I'm not going to lie, like things can get messy, and they can get quick, like messy quick. But if you have people that are advocates for the buyer and work together and find that common ground to make it as smooth as possible for that client, and I believe that's what we have.
Yeah.
It just makes the transaction so much easier, because there are times where, we have others that are involved in the transaction, and I like threats and like the anxiety, and like it can be so much better. It's how you communicate with all the parties that are involved in the transaction to make it, smooth, and for them to want to continue to work with you, and for us to be working together for the end result. So
yeah, I mean, it's an emotional process. I think for everybody involved. I mean, there's been some times where I wanted to pull my hair out, because
We've
there
had
are some
many sleepless nights where we're like,
nights.
it's 5:30.
Yeah. And there are sometimes, like you said, sometimes it can get very messy. It can get very hairy, scary, all of it. And sometimes there's nothing that we can do about, preventing that mess. But I feel like there is almost 9 times out of 10, there's always a solution. Sometimes it's not what everybody wants or likes, but there's always a way to combat it or go around it. And it's just when you have people that are in your corner, ready to go to bat for you and can explain to you what your options are, and you can make a really good and informed decision on how you want to proceed forward. Because I couldn't even go into any examples of what we could be talking about because there's endless scenarios.
Anything can happen. Anything can come up, whether it's on the lending side or the house itself or an inspection or the parties involved in the title. All of a sudden there's this personal title that we don't know about, or
who's Bob?
Like, we don't know where Bob is.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We can find Bob.
Yeah.
But
so there's
things like that. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we've ever had a scenario that we haven't been able to overcome yet.
No. Nope. We find the common ground, figure out what the solution is, get all the different scenarios and options together. And sometimes, I'm not going to, you get so emotional yourself that when you have a partner like you, that we can bounce things off I didn't even think about that because I'm so emotionally involved, and vice versa. So it's really great to have, that relationship with somebody where you work well together and can find the solution and keep everything calm, cool, and collected. And that's your 1000% your personality. I try to be that, but sometimes we all go down a rabbit hole and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Well, I think the other thing too is you have that relationship with your client too. So you're getting upset for them because they're upset. And
we put our hearts into it, and you know these people, you're speaking with them pretty much on a daily basis. It's important to them, and I make it important to me, and you make it important to you.
So it's hard to not get emotional, whether things are going well or they're going terribly wrong. If you just get emotional, no matter what.
But just need a minute, and we've talked about that before. Let me regroup my head. You know what I'm saying? I can go down one path, and this is clearing over here, but I'm not even thinking about it because I'll call my blinders on because that's the path we're on. But this over here might be a better scenario. And if I take the moment to calm down, reprocess, and, figure out the solution before it snowballs. There it goes.
Well, until we go on another squirrel, we're a little bit over our time.
I didn't look.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here and talk for 7 hours, but yeah, I think that, it's a great program, going back to the Hometown Heroes. So if anybody has any questions about it, I think as more things come out, I don't know when they plan on releasing all the details, if it's going to be on the 1st or maybe the week before, maybe. I don't know if they plan on releasing more information just prior to or what, but
I don't know that answer, and I don't remember, to be honest, of when they released it. My guess would be right before the money is released. For interest rate wise, see where they are in the market to be able to price it out right.
But like you said,
when they release the money, you have to be. It can't be through anybody either. FYI, that it has to be either an approved bank or an approved broker to be able to utilize that program. And that broker or bank has to be in Florida. If they're in a different state, they can't do the program.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense.
Yep.
So I guess, if anybody has any questions about it or wants a little bit more information to see if it's something that they could utilize, if you're in the market, then definitely, send Lindsay a message, give her a call. You can always reach out to me as well. I can, do my best to fill you in on everything, and we can always even do like a conference call, all three together, so we can see if it's something that would be beneficial for you. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for people, but I think most of the time it does.
Yeah.
It's a great program. So I'm excited for that to be released. I think that there's going to be a lot of families and a lot of buyers that are going to it's just going to help so much.
Yeah, it'll be able to benefit them for sure. So I'm excited about it too.
Okay. Well, guys, remember, like our page, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and stay tuned for next week. Who do we have next week? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Well, we actually had a special guest, and she's not quite ready yet.
Okay. Yep. So
we're rescheduling, but
we have an opening. So if anybody is, looking to get on our show and talk about your business, whether you are in real estate or not, we don't discriminate, and we love everybody. So we want to learn about your business. So just reach out to us if you are available, next Tuesday or just any Tuesday. We're booking out into July already, and even August too. So reach out to us, let us know, and then we will see everybody next week.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.